Hey, this is Eric McCoy again with Just a Step Away. I want to introduce you to Jessica.
Hi, I'm Jessica.
I've known Jessica for a little while now, and it's cool because we find some people in the industry that actually really do seem to care. And Jessica, I found as being one of those people. She really does have a big heart and really wants to help as many people as possible. And she kind of really fits in well with what we're trying to do here with ethics and values and morals. I think she carries those very well and feels very strongly about that and what we're doing here. I was kind of thinking of a topic today, and I wanted her to be in on this, and I think this is kind of cool. In the other videos that I've done, we've talked a little bit about good programs, quality programs, and things like that. And so I actually just wanted to have a conversation with Jessica on what we would possibly define as that. I want to tell you these are opinions that we're going to give. I've been working in the industry again for 15 years. I've known a lot of different counselors, and I've known a lot of different, styles of counseling and the way people do it and the way different rehabs run their facilities. And so I kind of wanted to explore what a quality program looks like, I guess, And throughout the years, the big model in this industry is a 12-step model of treatment. And I kind of wanted to give a little bit real quick on my personal opinion, and I'm going to see what Jessica thinks a little bit on this too. But rehab facilities are not free. People come in, they pay. Sometimes they pay an exorbitant amount of money.
Most often they do.
And, then of course insurance, and they bill lots of money for insurance. And I think I've thought about this for a long time, and I think as a facility or as a counselor, people working with people, I think we are doing a disservice to people at times. I don't know if you agree with me on that, by just
giving them AA treatment,
teaching them AA treatment, And my philosophy on it is, again, we're not free, and people are going to pay, so why are we going to just give them things that they can get for free? And that's sort of kind of been my model for a lot of years. If people want to get the 12-step program, they're free. Go out there, find the right program, get a sponsor, learn the steps.
And I agree with that 100%. I'm not a big on AA. That's not how I got clean and sober, but I've seen it work for a lot of people, and it is a very awesome program. It's great. But again, like Eric said, it is free, and it is one of those things that you have to be 100% willing on your own time to go and find that sponsor, go to those meetings, get that support group. No one's going to force you to do it in your day-to-day life. Like if you're at rehab and they're taking you to AA meetings, no one's going to force you to do that in real life, and that's not going to work then if that doesn't work for you. So I agree 100%. If a client were to come in and want and be 100% AA, want that, we would be able to support that.
And teach it.
Right. But there's many other approaches that really you can just combine to kind of fit what each client would need.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a program years ago in Anaheim, and I had put together this workbook. One of the things that I had looked at, and I thought about this, and I said, okay, so what are the things that people do, or what are the qualities that people have that allow them to maintain long-term sobriety? And I kind of looked at a lot of my friends and a lot of the people that I know that have long-term sobriety. And one of the first things that I found, and I think this is kind of a good thing for counselors to think about, is motivation. Why are people doing it? I know a lot of counselors, and I think this is kind of a sad scenario when counselors basically just say, they're in denial. You're in denial. And everything they say is just related to that. And I don't know if that's the case. I think that part of the fact is that they may be unaware of certain things, but I think motivation is a good place to start for people.
Well, to go off of that too, it's like if a counselor's trying to press something on a client and they're not receiving it the way that the counselor might want them to, or something like of that nature, that could be them saying, oh, they're in denial too as well. I've seen a lot of clients come through, and I was one of these clients that right when you said the word AA to me, I shut the door. I was done. I tried that. It didn't work. I don't want it. I'm done.
But
So,
did you actually do it?
did I ever actually do it? I did try to do it. I went to meetings. I mean, this was when I was in treatment, though. I didn't never do it on my own. But I was one of those people that became so resistant to it that it was more harm than good with them trying to press it on me. So I could see a counselor calling me in denial. I knew I was powerless over drugs and alcohol. That's about. I mean, I could agree with that. I wasn't going to deny that. That was the absolute truth. But did I need to do all those other steps or agree with all those other things to get? I mean, I never agreed that there's one way. And I've heard so many people tell me, this is it, this is the only way. And I just think that is, it really is just wrong to tell somebody. I mean, it's like, it's discouraging to a lot of people.
Well, you have the counselors that say, if you don't get a sponsor work steps or go to a meeting, you're going to get loaded.
Right. Like, this is the
How many
only
times
way.
have you ever heard that?
A lot.
Yeah.
Too many.
And I think that's a horrible thing to tell.
It is a horrible thing to tell a client. And for some people, that might be true. For the person saying that, that was true for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like me or like you, someone telling you that, you could just be like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to get loaded then. And that's just how it's going to be, right?
Great excuse.
Right? You're giving them something to run with. If this is the only way, I can't get this. So that's it. I never had, I kind of figured it out on my own. I never really had, they were really hardcore NA where I was in treatment, where I finally stuck. And I did it. I went to the meetings. I never really spoke unless they really made me. I worked the steps up to step 5, which I just kind of made my own as far as, and those are helpful. Those are really soul-searching type things. So whether or not you struggle with a higher power or anything like that, you could still work the steps and say, you know, it's really looking at yourself. It's introspection is what it is. And that can be helpful depending on where you're at in your head and how, you know, much you're willing to accept. I found a place where I was like, okay, I'm not buying into this whole 12-step thing, but I can look at this assignment or this whatever and say, I can get something out of this. Okay, I can look at these things about myself, my character defects or whatever it may be, and I could get something out of that, but not a lot of people can do that. If someone's telling you, you know, you have to follow this exactly, I mean, they might just say, okay, well then no.
So maybe, you know, we talk about a quality program or something that's good, is a program that opens up the door for all kinds of different possibilities.
Absolutely, options.
So, you know, and it's not shutting the door to 12-step programs, but it's potentially also educating people on other self-help programs. I mean, we've got Smart Recovery, there's Rational Recovery. You know, sometimes it's hard to find meetings. I know there's a lot of online stuff. But, you know, there are alternatives to the 12-step program. And then, you know, finding other different avenues, you know, for people that may be completely close to the 12-step program, you know. And I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people that had a lot of years clean and sober. They never went to a 12-step program. They did it in different ways. Some did it through church. You know, some found it, and this kind of goes back to that motivation part. And I always like to tell people this, but everybody is motivated by one of 2 ways. Right? And the first way, which is the way everybody's motivated, and it's the reason that anybody comes into rehab, is they're motivated by moving away from some kind of painful experience in life. You know, they get arrested, wife wants to leave, you know, health issues.
So motivated to stop the pain.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, by some kind of moving away. And as we know, and we see it in 12-step programs, we see it in rehabs, we see it in all the people that, you know, a lot of people we work with and stuff, that motivation will never last.
Right. So what next?
Pain goes away, you know, marriage gets back together, health issues become, you know, go away. So that's the question that we look at, you know, is what is that motivation? And the thing that I've kind of come up with is when we motivate ourselves by moving towards something good or something better in our life. You know, it's about teaching or helping our clients to find some kind of vision, direction, passion, something we get excited about.
To continue.
You know, that can help us move in the right direction in what we do. It could be goal setting, it could be whatever, that will help push those people and keep them excited about recovery and excited about treatment.
It's funny because I see you do that. I've learned so much from you. I mean, I've seen you do the motivation thing, that part of it. Because I've always kind of struggled with that too. It's like, once you're away from the pain, like you said, and I mean, I had nothing. I was on the streets. I was a junkie, and I got everything back. It took a long time. It took a lot of work. I went back to school. I got my degree. I mean, I just little by little. Once you attain that, you're not necessarily like, okay, I'm happy now. I'm normal now. So then what? But it is about those little things that I see you doing, like with this. We have a passion for something, and when you achieve it, it's still not over. The next motivator is the next thing that you're going to continue on with.
Right.
And
you achieve a goal, and then you set a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the things that move us forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is something that I found to probably be the most important thing to work on with people. And it is kind of sad, with most counselors, it is really about, okay, what I've learned and what my experience is what's going to work for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, and it's unfortunate. And like, I said, I've worked with a lot of counselors that have that. This is the only way. This is what works, and because it worked for me, it's got to work for you. And it doesn't work.
And that's
and it's a
disservice.
disservice.
Exactly, it's a shame because that's actually harming somebody into thinking. I mean, it did it to me. I walked out of 3, really nice, or probably 2 really nice, I should say, centers just based on that alone, based on someone telling me, you have to do it this way, and I'm like, I don't want to. That's not the way I want to do it.
Yeah.
It is a disservice to people to just close the door and say, this is the avenue. We don't know all the avenues at all.
No.
I learn from clients every day what can help them. They're teaching me what can help them.
Absolutely. It's my greatest saying, right?
I mean,
we are teachers and we're also students.
It's really true. It's like the challenge about being us the way we are as counselors, but so open-minded, is how can I help this specific person with this specific problem? Knowing once you've gotten to know them a little bit and kind of what won't work or what, I mean, it's finding an avenue. It's creating a new avenue together with the client that will work for them. It's kind of aiding them through that, or walking side by side with them through it as they discover it, really. You're guiding them,
Yeah, this is I think this is important. I think this topic's really important, and it just kind of goes back to, there are some really good counselors out there that do look at different avenues. There are also really good counselors out there that are kind of stuck in one mode. I don't want to kind of shut the door because it doesn't say they're bad counselors or anything, but I think that, as clinicians or facilitators or anything of that nature, let's open up our minds. Let's try things. Let's try different things. Let's try new things. The common thing that we see in this industry is individualized treatment plans. Everybody sells that, right? We provide individualized treatment plans. Do they really? I don't know. I don't think so, because it's typically, it's a good sell to people, and it's a good thing to say.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do.
It's a good thing to do.
But is
but
it
are
being
they doing
done?
it? And I don't think so. I've worked at a lot of different places and things of that nature, and it is a common selling point. I don't see that being done very much. It's sort of that, just that mold that, everybody does it in a sense. Granted, therapists or things of that nature may work on specific individual problems based on their individual needs during a session, but the common, treatment model is pretty consistent with everybody, So what does that look like? I was thinking about that, on the individualized treatment plan in a sense,
What does it look like?
Yeah, so what are we looking at? So we go, people come in, we do a biopsychosocial, we do an assessment, we base our treatment plan off of the information that we get from the assessment, right? And I want to say this, and I want to throw this out here because I love this idea, What if, and a lot of people will think this is crazy, okay? But, so many people in recovery say like, oh yeah, don't make any major changes in your first year. Don't go to concerts. Don't do this. Don't do that. All these
Relationships
don'ts and, things of that nature, right? And I've always kind of thought about why, right? In a sense. Okay, relationships, maybe not.
Yeah, you're not.
Relationships, great problems.
I would think that
But-
other than relationships, you should change almost everything in your first year. Your entire life needs to change. You can't go back to what you were doing before, with who you were doing it, where you were doing it. That's what you have to avoid doing.
Yeah.
So you kind of do need a whole new everything at once.
Yeah, but I think we kind of run into this battle with, I was working at a facility recently, and we took all the clients to a comedy club, which I thought was a great thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a nightclub in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Now, granted, we were controlled and we had staff and things of that nature, but I think that kind of goes a little bit against, because everybody talks about the fact that, don't do this, don't do that, don't go to concerts, don't be around this, don't be around that. But in reality, it's about teaching our people how to live in a world where it's at,
A real world.
and not have to do it ourselves.
Mhm.
And that's something that I've always thought of. People are like, oh God, I can never go to a concert again. Why not? Let's go. Let's go to a concert.
Mm-hmm.
Is that out of the realm of craziness? I don't think so. I think it's about, and I think that's part of what this is about teaching people how to live in society as it is.
Mm-hmm. How to reassociate, really, because
Integrate or whatever.
if they're I'm never going to a concert again is something like you're associating a concert with drinking or with drugs or anything, any place that you say that about. If you hold that association, it's always going to be that way for you. You need to reassociate, build new associations with all those things
Right.
that aren't associated with alcohol and drugs.
Right.
That's so, because then you can encounter everything in life and you're going to be okay. It's not
Mhm.
everything isn't going to be a trigger anymore because you've
Which might be good to do in treatment.
It would be good to do in
Right.
treatment because you have the support there.
Exactly. Versus
Absolutely.
waiting long term and then, you go out and do it by yourself.
Right, because you were so shielded while
Right.
you're in treatment
Right.
that you didn't have any real situations.
Mhm.
And you want real situations when you're in treatment. You have a team of individuals focused on you, helping you. You have all the support that you're ever going to have, really. I mean, it's an opportunity when you're in treatment.
Right.
It's a time for you to get your head straight, your body straight, and to use this team that is here to specifically help you with the specific problem that you have.
Right.
So yeah, you want to encounter those things at that time because you want to know how you're going to react because you're not going to know what to do, but you're going to have support and people to help you
Mhm.
through it, to
Absolutely.
navigate through it. Yeah.
We worked with a client recently that was, wanting to go to school,
hmm
and so part of that whole process was making sure that she got there, making sure she was able to do it while still being in treatment.
hmm
things
And
like
other
that.
places
And I
would
like
be.
that.
Well, I do too. Other places would never happen ever.
Right.
You wouldn't take a residential client to somewhere back in their life. I mean, their whole life has to stop for them to come to treatment.
But doesn't
Um,
have to.
Absolutely not. Did it work?
Absolutely, it did.
Exactly.
She's doing
It
great.
was no problem at all.
She's doing great.
And you don't have to, if you didn't screw up your entire life while you were out there using and you come to treatment and you still have a job or you still have school, yeah, let's do everything we can to continue that and not mess it up because you stop just in time to maybe not mess everything up.
I want to bring up another topic, and I think this is interesting, right? Rehabs today, and what has happened is, there's this huge explosion, and everybody's like, we need to make them bigger and be more beautiful and nicer, and all these different
It's a selling point.
fluff services, that people talk about out there.
Mhm. You're getting massages. You're getting,
Massages, acupuncture,
it's like
Making
vacation.
jam.
It's vacation.
That's a long story.
Mm-hmm.
I think the sad part about what rehab facilities are doing today is they're actually selling facilities, not the actual treatment.
Right, and it's really confusing to people as well.
Yeah. Oh, we have this beautiful place. Oh, this huge mansion, 12 acres of property. all of this stuff, and there's not much about what are you going to learn?
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to learn there?
And
You
the
know?
first thing about when you get to treatment, the first thing you have to do, seriously, is get real and get humble and get grateful. That's what you have to do, because you made it to this point where you got to some kind of low to
Especially if
where
you're living in a mansion.
you are in you're in drug treatment. So you messed up enough to where you got to a point where I need to change.
Mhm.
Okay, but you're still standing. You're still alive. You're still there. So it's a time to get grateful. It's not a time to be pampered because you just screwed up your life for 10 years. So let's just give you everything. No, you have to start learning these skills again. You have to start, and you missed a lot. You have to start learning that stuff again.
Mhm.
You don't have to go, this is real world isn't going to Disneyland and going to get massages, because you're in treatment and your insurance is paying for it. It's like, no, this
Right.
isn't what this is. This is, we're going to guide you and help you get your mind straight.
Yeah, and learn how to be happy. I do
Without all these extra things.
I've done a lot of, educational groups. It's kind of my favorite. I love doing educational stuff. And one of the ones that I did, and I put together a long time ago, was on happiness,
Mhm.
right? And so,
Your happiness group. Yes.
yeah, my whole thing is like, so part of this may be about teaching people some of the most simple or some of the most difficult things, but that idea of happiness was, I think if everybody can learn to feel good in sobriety,
Mhm.
and then we can learn how to be happy, since everybody looks for it in all the wrong places,
Mhm.
which is drugs, wife, husband, whatever,
Money,
job,
sex.
all that
Right.
kind of stuff. And we know that you'll never find it in any of those things. Part of what our task, I think, is to teach people these things, some of these most simple things. I'm going to teach you the qualities of happiness. I'm going to teach you the things that you can do within yourself to find happiness.
Mhm.
Self-esteem.
Mhm.
We teach them self-esteem. Things of talk about cognitive behavioral therapy, cognitive restructuring, which is a big one I like.
Mhm. Oh,
Helping
yeah.
people change the way they think,
Change their
or
cognitive
view
distortions and their
things of that nature, and really working with each individual individually, right? And then I think, to me, to a good program. This is, again, my opinion on all this stuff, but a good quality program is a program that allows you to focus on the individuals, which basically means a smaller facility.
Absolutely. 100%.
And I think I had discussed this a little bit on one of the other ones, but you got these facilities out there that have 20, 30, 40, 50
And everyone's
clients.
lost in the shuffle.
They get lost in the shuffle.
And they know it. You feel it when you're just part of a crowd. You're not, you come to treatment and it's scary and it's you don't know what to expect. You are at your most vulnerable point.
Mhm.
And if you're just a number, if you're just a person in a group, and that's how all the sessions are, groups of 20.
Right.
I would never talk in that, and I'm not barely a shy person at all, but I don't want to share with 20 people. I just don't. That's just not how I roll.
Absolutely.
And I think most people, that's not how they roll, really.
Yep.
If you have a more intimate environment, where you can have 3 people, 5 people, 6 people, that is really those people that are going to not come out of their shells, and they might.
Yeah. I mean, I think a typical group number, would be, 6 to 8.
I would think on the lower end even of that. I think 6, 8, it starts getting even groupy.
You can lose people.
Yeah.
You
would lose me. I mean, I would, if it were a very deep therapeutic or anything, that was kind of real, I think you'd lose me at 8.
Yeah.
I think you'd lose me at about anything above 6, you really would.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I was extremely comfortable with the people. Because, you're in a group of people you don't know, unless you've already been there for a while or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
It's all these things that you're learning about yourself and that you're kind of sharing about yourself. You're sharing them in front of people you don't know.
Right.
That's hard. That's hard to do even when you're normal, and you get to treatment and you have low self-esteem and you don't know who you are, and sharing that in front of a bunch of people, that's where's that going to get you?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I think quality treatment has to be tangible, you know. And I think a lot of facilities will talk about certain things, but they don't teach them how to do them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's just got poor impulse control.
So what do we do about that?
So teach them what impulse control is.
Right.
You know, I think honestly too that in this industry, sometimes some of the people that come in don't know some of the most basic, simple things about life.
Most people don't.
Maybe we need to teach them how to do laundry,
Life skills.
how to wash dishes,
make lunch.
Life
Make a
skills.
Sandwich. Life skills.
Yeah.
I
they know
really
how to pour a drink.
didn't know how to. Right. I didn't know how to do any. I mean, I seriously, when I remember, I'll never forget. When I was in treatment, I was in lockdown. It was 9 months. I was in there. That was it. I had been on drugs for so long that I really didn't have any life skills at all. When I first got out into the world, my parents took me to a restaurant, and just a restaurant. I think it was something like Denny's. It was something very easy, and I remember feeling awkward, even ordering food. Like I was awkward. I didn't even know how to behave in a restaurant. I really, I mean, it was overwhelming for me, and it's like, we need to, and I was just on drugs for that long that when I was sober and I was around people that I didn't know in a real world situation, I didn't know how to handle it.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing that once a client gets to a stable point, we want to start teaching them.
Right.
So they're not blindsided out there like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's good, So we wanted to just kind of come out and talk a little bit about that, what good quality treatment is. Again, I don't think it's as much the facility per se as the services that you're going to actually offer. And I think that's probably some of the most important questions people need to ask. We look at some of these websites and it's just, these huge mansions and places, and some people are coming off the street, and have never lived in anything like this before. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but are they getting the services that are going to be needed to help them?
Actually helpful to recover.
And, focusing on looking at motivation, looking at impulse control, looking at self-esteem. Some people need a lot of anger management stuff. And so I want to thank you for being here.
You're very welcome.
I think this was really good, and I think we'll probably do this again.
I'm sure we will. We have a lot of topics to discuss.
We do. And I want to thank all of you guys for watching this and listening. We will see you soon.